am live now with all your permission, sir. I am starting this session.
Yes, you can. You can.
Very good evening, everyone present here. I am Faraz from IGCP. Welcome all the participants on today's webinar. And I would like to welcome today's speaker with great honor, none other than Dr. R.M. Chavda, sir. And let me share some of the achievement before starting this session. Sir has done MD in Medicine, FIMSA, FICP, FDI, FRCP from Edinburgh, and he is Senior Consultant Physician at Max Shalimar and Saroj Super Specialty Hospital, and he is Director of Chavda Medical Center, New Delhi. And today, sir is going to discuss on a topic, Eradication of Malaria, Myth and Reality. By taking not much time, I would like to invite sir, and I would like to hand over this session. Over to you, sir. Stage is yours, sir. You can proceed from here.
Thank you, Mr. Fry, for the kind words. First of all, I would like to thank you, my talk, and the IJCP for giving the opportunity. So today is a very different topic, eradication of malaria. You know, the malaria is a disease we are suffering from, especially in the Asians are suffering from the malaria. What it is, how we can eradicate this disease. So, what happened to my slide? Yes. What are the disease pattern in the armamentarium? So what are the pattern? There are two types of the infections. One is the communicable disease, or the another is a non-communicable disease. If we talk about the non-communicable disease that is not transmitted by the person to another person, or by a vector, or by the environment. And medical science has identified a certain habits and the behavior diseases that either increase or decrease the risk of many of these diseases, like the cardiovascular disease, diabetes, hypertension. All these are diseases known as the lifestyle diseases. So we can title as a non-communicable disease. If we talk about what are the communicable diseases, a disease that is spread from one living to the another, or through the environment, that is known as the communicable disease. So what are the communicable disease? Either pathogens are responsible for that communicable disease, either virus, bacteria, fungus, protozoa, or ectacial. Today we will talk about the protozoal infection, that is the malaria. So this is a protozoal infection. How communicable disease are transmitted? You should know before going to the detail in the disease. So direct contact, either by the touching, as you have seen in the COVID, and biting, kissing, sexual contact. These are the communicable disease by this method, or the indirect contact, like the contaminated object, have you seen, by the hand, by the table, and all that, the objects, they are infected. If you touch that, then that will be, disease will be transmitted to your body. So vectors, mosquito passes through the pathogen from person to person. That is a mosquito. And water and the borne disease, we will talk later. Airborne disease, the sneezing or coughing, they will transmit the disease. Today we will talk about the vector-borne disease, that is a mosquito-borne disease, that is the malaria. So what is the importance of knowing about the spread, transmission, or the community disease? If you don't know the transmission, then you can spread the disease so quickly. So the prevention to prevent the disease, control or the treat the disease, or the eradication. Unless until you don't know about the transmission, you cannot prevent the disease, control the disease, or eradicate the disease. So management of the communicable disease comes under the heading prevention, diagnosis, investigation, treatment of the control, or the treatment of the complication. Another is the eradication of the disease. Today we will talk about the eradication of the disease. So this is the preview about the disease. So we observe the 25th April every year. That is the World Malaria Day, like the other day, Diabetic Day and Environment Day. So many days are there, but we observe the 25th April every year. But that is known as the World Malaria Day. So today is my topic, eradication of malaria, whether it is a myth or the reality. So what is the worldwide status of the malaria infection? If you see worldwide, malaria remains the world's most devastating human parasitic infections. So malaria affects over more than 40% of the worldwide population. If you talk what is the malaria incidence rate worldwide, according to the latest World Malaria Report, there were 249 million cases of the malaria in 2022 compared to the 2044 in the 2021. So it has increased to the 5 million. And the estimated number of the malaria deaths in this period stood around about the 6 lakhs 8,000 in 2020, but compared it was 6 lakh 10,000 in 2021. That is decreased, but the cases are increased. So what is the status of the malaria in India? If you see in 2023 by the data, so that despite a 50% reduction in the cases since the 2015, so India remains a significant contributor to the global malaria burden. So India faces the challenges, including a surge in the cases. In the cases 2023, it has increased linked to the unseasonal rainfall. If there is rainfall, definitely there is stagnation of the water. The breeding of the mosquito is there. The malaria will increase. As per WHO key facts, what are the facts? Globally in 2022, there was estimated to 149 million malaria cases and 6 lakhs 8,000 malaria death in 85 countries all over the world. If you see the WHO African regions carries a disproportionately high share of the global malaria burden. In 2022, the region was home and to the 94% of the malaria cases, that is with the tune of the 233 billion, and the 95 out of that 95% of the malaria deaths in this as per WHO criteria. So children under the 5 accounted the about 80% of all malaria deaths in the region. So what are the scenario of the malaria globally and the Indians and the India? Which countries are most affected by the malaria? So 4 African countries accounted for just over half of the all malaria deaths worldwide. That is the Nigeria, Democratic Republic of the Congo, that is at 12.6%, United Republic of the Tanzania, that is 4.1%, and Niger, that is 3.9%. As per the 29th March 2023, this is the record. Who is the most affected by the malaria in India? So social and the geographical distribution of the malaria in India, because the breeding of the mosquitoes are there in these areas, and malaria affects all population groups regardless of the gender or the age. Although the children and the pregnant women are at high risk, so they should be protected from the malaria. So even in the human start with the bite of the mosquito, how the malaria occurs, I will tell you one by one. So first, man is the man is bitten by a mosquito. That is the intermediate. Man is called the intermediate host. The mosquito definitely the host. Mosquito is definite host, and man is the intermediate host. Why the sporozoid? Sporozoid are infective form. The person which is present in the saliva of the mosquito present in the salivary gland of the female Anopheles mosquito. After the bite, the infected mosquitoes sporozoids are introduced into the blood of the circulation. They administer the sporozoid in the blood of the man in the intermediate host. Then what will happen? That is the human cycle. What will happen in the human? That is the one is the pre-erythrocytic physiogony, another is the erythrocytic. First, before going to the RBC, and another is in the RBC and in the gametocyte in the liver, and the erythrocytic physiogony. These are the 4 stages in the human cycle. So if you see it is a complex life cycle of the malaria sporozoid or the malaria sporozoid. So this is the complex. I will not go into the detail. This is a very big cycle. So how it occurs, I will tell something about this. The sporozoid undergo the development of the phase in the liver cell, multiply nuclear division, develop the cyjoid, and cyjoids contain round about the 20 to 50,000 merozoids. And ultimately, what is the period? What is the period in the different? Because there are 4 types of the plasmodium. That is the Plasmodium vivax, falciparum, malaria, and oval. These are the 4 types of the malaria parasite, sporozoites. So one is in the vivax, the only 8 days. In the falciparum, it is 6 days. In the malaria, it is a 30 to 14, 16 days, very high. And plasmodium oval is a 9 days. On maturation in the liver cells that rupture and liberates merozoites into the bloodstream again, because the human is the intermediate host. So ultimately, the erythrocyte cycle, they will come into the erythrocyte, merozoite release, invade the red cell again. The plasmodium vivax infect the young erythrocyte RBC, and erythrocyte is RBC, and malaria, plasmodium malaria infect the old erythrocyte, and plasmodium falciparum infect RBC of the ology, and merozoite are appear shaped 1 to 5 micron in the length, and the receptor of the merozoites are on the red cells in the form of the glycoprotein. So if you see the erythrocytic zygogony, liberated merozoites penetrate into the RBC. There are 3 stages. There are tropozoites and zygote and the merozoites. There are 3 forms. So ultimately, the exoerythrocytes in the tissue phase, plasmodium malaria, and the plasmodium vivax sporozoites do not form the hypnotized, develops directly into the pre-erythrocytic zygotes in the liver. Zygotes rupture, releasing the merozoites, which invade the red blood cell in the liver. So in the gametocyte, the merozoite differentiates into the male and the female gametocytes. They develop in the red cells found in the peripheral blood sphere, and micro gametocyte of the all species are the similar in the size, and macro gametocytes are the larger in the size. So according to the WHO current and the future direction, the drug management of the malaria endemic countries which are experiencing high levels of the resistance to the currently used anti-malarial drugs as a monotherapy are advised to switch over the combination therapy. So the treatment of the plasmodium vivax and the primary oval infection, there is a chloroquine 25 milligram per kg body weight divided into 3 over the 3 days, combined with the primaquine 0.25 milligram per body weight taken with the food once daily for the 14 days is a treatment of the choice for the chloroquine sensitive infection in the occasion. And South Asia, East Asia, and dose of the primaquine should be 0.5 milligram per kg body weight. And if there is no response, then you can switch to the artemisinin based combination therapy with the chloroquine or the primaquine. So what is the pharmacotherapy, pharmacology of the antimalarial drugs? These are the drugs. If there is a, you know the cycle, the blood cyclone drugs, that is the quinine and artemisinin and amidoquine and the chloroquine and lumefantrine and tetracycline. These are the drugs, sulfadoxidine and the clindamycin and the proguanil. These are the drugs. Tissue-cidal drugs, these are the primaquine, pyrimethamine, and the proguanil and the tetracycline. And the gametocidal drugs, these are the primaquine, artemisinin, and the quinine. These are the drugs. And similarly, there is the hypnotojoincidal drugs. These are the primaquine and the tetraquine and the sporozoid cidal drugs. This is the primaquine, proguanil, or the chloroguanil. So this is a cycle. If there is a suspected case, then if it is a positive, malaria parasite is positive, then you either falciparum or the non-falciparum, you give the chloroquine. In the non-falciparum, you give the chloroquine and the primaquine. If it is a falciparum, the severe case, then treat protocol according to the protocol, and uncomplicated case, treatment with the protocol. And if it is negative, then sign consistently with the complicated, then antimalarial treatment, while further investigation referral is underway. And look for the other causes of the reviewer after the referral. So prevention of the malaria is very, very important. We have talked about the treatment, but prevention of the malaria is very, very important. As you know, prevention is better than cure. With this picture, man proposes his girlfriend with the full precaution. So prevention is better before going for the proposal. Similarly, prevention of the malaria, either avoid the mosquito bite. Very, very important. Once you cut the connection between the mosquito and the man, then definitely avoid the bite, mosquito bite, wearing a long sleeves shirts and the trousers, insecticide treated bed nets you should use, repellent like the good night and all the cream or the so many creams are there, you can use it. So what is the chemoprophylaxis? When it is required, the chemoprophylaxis, you give the drugs before going to the, it is indicated when you are entering to the endemic area where the malaria is positive. So you should take the chemoprophylaxis, either mefloquine 250 milligram weekly up to 1 year, or the doxycycline 100 milligram daily up to 3 months, to start with the 1 week before and before entering to the endemic area, and continue till the 4 weeks after leaving the area, because there is according to cycle. So another, how to prevent the malaria, that is the vaccine. Vaccine is very important. As you've seen in the corona, the vaccine definitely prevent the disease. The children are usually most vulnerable to the malaria because they have not built up the natural immunity like some adults in Africa. One child dies of the malaria every 30 seconds. There are some ways to prevent the malaria, killing the infected mosquitoes and use the bed nets and some medications to treat the parasite. And effective vaccines is required, is the key step towards the eradication of the disease. Still, there is no vaccine against the malaria. So similarly, more studies, since the earlier trial, the researchers are now conducting a large trial of the 400 million children. The trial will also examine if the vaccine can protect against the multiple malaria parasites, even though it is only based on the single strain, and scientists hope that the vaccine could be combined with the other vaccines and creates a highly protective multi-component immunization still underway. So till date, there is no vaccine against the malaria. So dear friends, what is the eradication? How we can eradicate the malaria? We will talk about this thing. So national framework for the malaria elimination in the India, they have framed in 2016 to the, what is the aim? We have to eradicate the malaria between the 2016 to up to the 1330. In the 15 years, we have to eradicate the malaria, according to the director of the National Vector Borne Disease Control Program, Director General of the Health Services, Ministry of the Health, Family Planning. What is the aim? We have to eradicate the malaria till 2030. So what is the latest malaria program in the India? What is the latest? So the government of the India has developed a national framework for the malaria elimination in 2016 to the 2030, and they have launched a program, the national strategy plan in 2027 17 to the 22. It is a 5-year plan, was launched with the aim to eradicate the malaria with the zero indigenous cases. There are no cases either from the outside or also India. So, really, what are the plans of the government for the malaria eradication program? National strategy plan for the elimination of the malaria in 5 years was launched by the Union Ministry of the Health and Family Welfare, and India has a set of its goal to eliminate the malaria by 2027, 3 years before the 2030, 3 years ahead of the, we are behind only 3 years because we are running in the 2024, which is the global deadline for the elimination of malaria. So in India, we are aim to eradicate the malaria by 2027. So who are the accountable to eradicate the malaria? We should start from the public. We require the public cooperation, government, non-governmental organization, medical association, positive attitude of the malaria, healthcare worker, all are accountable to eradicate the malaria. Unless until there is a coordination of the harmony among these people, we cannot eradicate the malaria. Like the smallpox, you have heard about the smallpox. That is the last case noted in the 1975. After that, there is no smallpox in India. So similarly, we have to eradicate the malaria like this. So for the malaria eradication program, updating the knowledge at every level about the malaria, whether the public, whether the organization, whether the government, everybody should know about the malaria transmission, because unless until you know about the malaria transmission, you cannot eradicate the malaria. So enhance the coordination among all the department and the public and doctors. All the there should be a better communication or the coordination to eradicate the malaria. Similarly, nowadays thought, everybody says like this, कृपया यहाँ ज्ञान मत बांटिए, यहाँ हम सब ज्ञानी हैं. So in 3D picture we have seen, we must update ourselves from the any available resources. वो कहते हैं ना, ज्ञान जहाँ से मिल रहा है वहां से बटोर लीजिए. तो इसलिए हमें ज्ञान बटोरना है एक दूसरे से. ऐसा नहीं कि पब्लिक को हम बताएंगे नहीं मलेरिया के बारे में, जब तक उनको पता नहीं है मच्छरों से होता है तो कैसे इरेडिकेट कर पाएंगे? दे कैन नॉट. बट वी हैव टू एजुकेट from the public. Public should be aware about the transmission of the malaria. So similarly, what are the requisites for the eradication of malaria? Public must be aware about the malarial infection, especially its transmission. Unless until they know about the breeding of the mosquito, they cannot prevent or the eradicate the malaria. Similarly, coordination among the government, non-government organization, medical association, public, doctors and healthcare workers. Unless until there is coordination, you cannot eradicate the malaria. Similarly, resources and infrastructure must be available to eradicate the malaria. Similarly, properly implementation of the eradication program framed by the government. ऐसा नहीं कि you frame the program and डस्टबिन चला गया, आपने देखा भी नहीं उसको. No, you should implement the program and should inform all the public, government, and all the concerned person or the acknowledged person. You should inform them. Similarly, positive attitude of the media must be there. If they do the negative, then you cannot eradicate the positive attitude of the media must be there. So time to time survey of the eradication program by the authority. Authority have framed the program and they don't go, okay, what is going on? You should do all the program with the time bound. You should give the 1 year, 2 years, like the same. They have eradicated the program up to 2030. But we have started the program. We have the aim to eradicate till the 2027. So up to the 2030, we can eradicate if we do the proper manner. So, what is the principle of the malaria eradication program? So, malaria prevention and the control have three principal components. The reduction of the contact between the vector and the human. I have told you, unless you break between the contact, you cannot eradicate. So, prevention of the disease. So the prophylactic use of the antimalarial drug, that is a chemoprophylaxis, and adequate treatment of the malaria episodes to minimize the risk of the transmission. So similarly, what is the objective of the malaria eradication program? That is the main objective of the scheme, early detection and the prompt treatment, that is the ADPT, through the surveillance activities involving the government and the non-governmental functionaries. You should involve. So similarly, identification of the all high-risk malarial areas and the epidemic-prone villages, you should identify. Then the interruption of the malarial transmission by 2 rounds of the residual insecticide spray of the DTT, that is the DTT. You should give the DTT and 50% of the area with API 2 and above the distribution of the insecticide treated beds. You should provide the treated bed nets and in the high risk of the accessible villages. Villages are very important because the breeding of the mosquitoes are there. So training and the workshop on the malaria for all category and the opinion leaders as per schedule availability of the funds. And IEC activity, that the information, education and the communication. It should be so strong to inform the people at large so we can eradicate the person. Similarly, there should not be any stagnation of the water. You should see there no stagnation of water, changing the cooler water again and again. These are the preventive measures. And public-private partnership involvement of the NGOs, FBOs and the CBOs and other government and the non-governmental sectors, military, paramilitary forces in the malaria control program. All should be involved in this program. So similarly, what is the National Malaria Eradication Program? If you talk that to combat the devastating effect of the malaria, the National Malaria Control Program was launched in 1953, built up around three key activities at that time, 1953. But insecticidal rangerous spray with the DTT and monitoring and surveillance of the cases, treatment of the patients. Similarly, in India, the National Malaria Eradication Program started in 1958, caused the malaria complete disappearance, but came back in the 1970s. That was a bad news. And still, now the prevail a major disease change in the National Vector-Borne Disease and Control Program or the National Anti-Malarial Program, then finally named as the National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program, NVBD-CP. So, how many countries are malaria-free by the WHO? So there are few countries where the malaria they are malaria-free. Who they are? Globally, 40 countries and the territories have been granted a malaria-free certification from the WHO, including most recently, what are the El Salvador, Algeria, Argentina, Paraguay, and the Uzbekistan. These are the 5 countries that recently they declare as a malaria-free country. So similarly, eradication of malaria is a need of the hour. Make it reality with the broad vision and combined efforts. You cannot do for the why single efforts, but you have to take the help of all the government and the non-governmental organization and public, doctors, all the politicians. Every should be included to eradicate the program. So similarly, if you have the tubular vision, only few people are involved. Then you see this picture with the tubular vision. A single person, no teamwork. So a very good picture. If you see with the broad vision, it is not good picture, but it is a beware of the tubular vision. You should do the combined efforts, not the single efforts. So dear friends, take home message, decide yourself about the eradication of the program, whether is it myth or the reality. You have to make it the reality, not the myth. So it is up to you, us, you or the us, whether we want let the eradication of the malaria be myth or to make it the reality. Because you see that we have eradicated the smallpox, similarly we want to eradicate the malaria. It is in your hand. Nothing is impossible. Everything is possible in this world. We can. I am possible, not the impossible, but I am the possible. So you do the possibility. So make it the reality, not the myth. So nothing is impossible in this world. So dear friends, avoid to believe the media reality of the fast program. Media shows the similar picture. One is the accident, another there is no accident. But according to the media, it is accident. So make it the reality, not the false thing. So and thing I will request all the doctor, a superior doctors prevent the disease, a mediocre doctor treat the disease before the evidence, and inferior doctors treat always the full-blown disease or the complication. So, dear friends, be a superior doctor to prevent the malaria, and definitely if you prevent the malaria and eradicate the malaria. So, thank you very much. Over to the organizer.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving out your valuable time and sharing in your knowledge on this topic, sir. I definitely think this session knowledge is going to help all the participants on their practice also. Sir, as I can see, sir, we have received some questions from the participants, sir. If you
You can
allow,
ask.
with all your permission, shall we take these
Yeah,
questions?
yeah. Take them.
Yes, the first question is from Dr. Manoj. He is asking, are there any successful example of regional efforts leading to significant reduction in malaria incidence?
As of today, there is no any data which has seen the because there is surge, because there is unseasonal rain and there is stagnance of water, breeding of the mosquito. So there is no data as of now.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your insight on this question, sir. Moving forward, one another question is from Dr. Ankita, and she's asking, are there any innovative technologies that show promise in how can malaria eradication effort be aligned with the goals of global health equity?
Very good question. So prevention is the first key to eradicate the malaria. First, you have to kill the mosquito at the resources. Don't allow the mosquito to breed anywhere. So many techniques are there. You see, there's a good night and repellent, all that. You should break the contact with the human being and the mosquito. That is the only mantra to eradicate the malaria. So there are so many techniques you have seen how to prevent yourself to break the contact. That is the techniques. So many techniques. ये मच्छर मारने वाली बात है ना इलेक्ट्रिक वाले आते हैं मच्छर आते हैं उसको मार देते हैं तो मच्छर को बेसिकली हमें कांटेक्ट दूर करना है जब तक कांटेक्ट दूर नहीं करेंगे तब तक इरेडिकेट कैसे करेंगे तो सब कहते हैं फैक्ट्री में ही उसको यानी खत्म कर दो प्रोडक्शन को तो उसका मलेरिया होगा ही नहीं जब मच्छर ही नहीं होगा तो मलेरिया कहाँ से होगा तो फर्स्ट ऑफ हमें मच्छर को ही मारना है और नई नई टेक्निक से मारेंगे तो मच्छर को वी हैव टू वी विल अचीव द गुड गोल और द टारगेट व्हाट वी वांट
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing this insight, sir. Sir, another question is, sir, I think it is important question, sir, shared by one of the Dr. Sangita, and she's asking, how does climate change affect the distribution and prevalence of malaria, and how can this impact to be migrated?
Very good question. Seasonal, it is more in the rainy season when the mosquitoes are there. Because in India, the infrastructure is not so good. There is a stagnation water definitely there. If you are residing in a very beautiful house, if you go to the park and doing the yoga, at that time, there is a nearby stagnation of the water. There is a breeding of the mosquito. The mosquito will bite you. You see, हम तो बड़े बड़े अच्छे घरों में रहते हैं तो बाइट कैसे हो गया तो वहां से बाइट करेंगे हम और दूसरा क्या है कि अपनी प्रिकॉशन रखनी है फुल स्लीव्स के अपने हाथ ये शर्ट पहननी है पूरी ट्राउजर पूरी फुल पहनना है जितना ही आप इससे बच के रहोगे ना इंडिया में स्पेशली बिकॉज इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इज नॉट गुड so we have to improve the infrastructure nowadays infrastructure dramatically improved nowadays so the number of the cases are less. Similarly, in the dengue or all that, because dengue is also the mosquito bite. So you have to see this thing also.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your insight again on this question, sir. I hope this will be very helpful to all the audience. As I can see, there is no more question from the participants, sir. It was, I hope you are able to, as usual, you have done justice to this topic also, sir. Like every time you come with the presentation to make the people awareness on their practice of to the all the healthcare, sir. It is very impactful. And thanks for being a change in the society because one step in the education can help the entire environment, entire society, and entire population, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for being one of that
I will give
changing in the society, sir.
in the last take-home message. In the last,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please give one take-home message, sir. We will conclude this session for today, sir.
yeah. Mr. Frog, take-home message the same. You have to prevent. Prevention is better than cure. To eradicate the malaria, you should break the contact between the human being and the mosquito. That is the only mantra. How you do it, then it is up to you. If you can, then you can eradicate the malaria. Otherwise, there is no chance to eradicate the malaria. My last.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. As we have done with the take-home message, sir, with all your permission, sir, we are closing this session
Yeah.
for today and hope to see you again with different topic in future also. Till then, take care of yourself.